Hey everybody, and welcome to a new video where we're talking about why I actively intraday trade. Now, in the past, I've gone through strategies that were focused on scalping, where I would be getting in and out of trades very quickly and just all throughout the session placing these trades and really focus on taking small gains, but a lot of these trades throughout the day. And I've also done methods that were revolving around zooming out, placing trades, getting into positions, and then holding these for sometimes days at a time. And what I've done is just by cycling through and trying different methods, I've really found my home inside of actively intraday trading. And in this video, I just want to break down why exactly day trading, how come I'm not focused on scalping, what moved me away from swing trading, and break down a little bit of this journey. And I would really encourage that you stick with this video through the end and watch this through because it's really important that you get this right. When you walk into trading and you're on that path of working towards getting consistent results, it's going to be very important that you narrow your focus to one of these things. And if you're out there and you are trying to dabble with scalping, where some of the trades you put on, you're just taking them off very fast, locking in a little profit. But at some level, you're kind of really focused in on day trading. And then some of those trades you have on, maybe you're stretching it out and trying to hold those longer than you should be. If you're out there and that's what you're doing, you're really complicating this process and you're making that path to consistency much more difficult than it needs to be. And the reason is this: the specialized knowledge that you need, the tools you'll be using, the resources you'll have, and even the skills that you're going to acquire for each one of these things are going to be different. And there's not really a reality where you're going to start off and do all of these things well. There might be down the road where you can add in all of these things. But when you're starting out and when you're trying to get consistent, you're going to want to focus this in and get very specific and not broaden this out any more than you need to. Okay, so let me kind of just break down what this looked like for me. And this will give you some nice things to think about and even maybe some direction. So starting off with scalping, and what I mean by this is just very actively trading. If you are in a position where maybe you're taking 3 or 5 trades a day and you think you're getting in and out very quickly, to me that's day trading. That is not scalping. And when I was scalping and what I think of as scalping, just so we have a definition here, is very aggressively in and out, taking a lot of trades, tens if not more trades per day, just focused in on these micro gains and a lot of round turns. Now, what I know is that it used to be the thing to do when online trading first became a reality. To get plugged in, and what most traders were focusing on was just like this arcade game where you would fire up the charts based on what was happening on the depth of market or the order flow, just like pounding in trades, just trading, trading, trading all day long, hundreds of round turns. And what has happened is that being the opportunity that it was has really gone away. People are still doing it, but what's happened is algorithmic trading and quants have really taken that space over, and that kind of high frequency trading is really done mostly through automation and through very sophisticated quants right now. And what ends up happening is the evolution of the market as technology has grown. We've really kind of moved away from being this fast-paced arcade game to more of like a chess match that requires you to be more methodical, a little bit more sophisticated, and to put more intention into what's happening. And for me, when I was doing this and when I was getting involved with scalping, one of the big issues, and this is something to get right if you think that this is the path you want to go down, is when you're focused in there and you're taking a lot of round turns and you're paying the fees and commissions that's available to retail traders, it really starts to take a hit. If you're out there and you're part of an institution or if you're leasing a seat at the CME, or there's ways that people and groups have a completely different fee structure than what is available at the retail level. And if you're going out there, and this is what I found after kind of getting a sample size of really liking the idea of locking in gains, quickly. But once I zoomed out and I saw like at the end of the month what was happening with fees and commissions, I was just getting crushed. And for what's available to me, the idea of being that active and scalping, it just did not make sense. And it wasn't a model that was sustainable, where even if it was working, I was really operating with a razor thin to like negative type of action. And it kind of looked different on paper, but in real life, it wasn't working well. So that's one of the big issues and something to think about if you're thinking that scalping's the road for you. Another issue with scalping that I found when I was trying to do this is it requires you to just pinpoint what you're doing. Like you have to be very accurate with your entries and exits because there's no wiggle room. You cannot get into a trade and let it work at all. There's no breathing room like that. If that trade's going against you, you have to take it off and move on to the next one because what I'm taking right now as like a normal loss, if I was scalping, that would be like a huge loss because that would just wipe out a lot of these micro gains that I'm taking. And for me and for what I'm doing and even what I think is sustainable, that was not a path that was making sense. If one thing got away from me, if one thing wasn't working out right, or if I broke my discipline for a moment, it just ruined a lot of my edge. It ruined a lot of my gains. And it wasn't something, again, that was just sustainable for the way that I was trading. So scalping requires you to have a very robust method, be able to stick with it very strictly. And it wasn't something that I was able to really execute on in real time, or at least execute on very, very well. Okay. Another thing about scalping that you just need to get right, and something that, I loved at first, is scalping requires you to be very fast at processing information. You got to have a very quick mind if you're going to be scalping. And I kind of, looked at myself as being somebody that was pretty wired, and I liked the idea of getting in and getting out very actively. That's what I wanted to do. Now, going through the process of what I've just covered, I really found out that scalping was not a sustainable model for what I was doing. So I've moved over to actively intraday trading. But what I was really focused on was still trading a lot. I was focusing on about 10 plus trades every single day, very active in and out pretty quickly, but nowhere near the level of scalping. I would place trades, there'd be long gaps in between taking other trades. And then really, I've even started to move away from that over the last couple of years. I'm still actively intraday trading, but I've really zoomed out a lot. And what I'm focusing on now is maybe 3 to 5 trades a day. If I start seeing like 12 trades, something like that, something's probably not working out the best for me. And I'm usually hitting my best when I'm around 3 to 5 trades a day. Now, the reason I say this is it's more importantly than what I'm doing is something that you have to get right on what is your natural aptitude? What are you bringing to trading? And if you're somebody that you have a quick mind and maybe you're fast with wit and you're fast with comebacks, you're somebody that's going to want to focus on the more in and out because that's your strength, taking that information, processing it, making quick decisions. And that's great. You want to lean into that. And if you're somebody that likes to process information more, and maybe you're more methodical, you want to be taking information, sitting back with it, seeing how things are shaping up, and being much less active. That's amazing too, because trading doesn't have to be this thing that you're just constantly stressed out about and you're constantly involved with and doing a lot of action. You can really zoom back and be more methodical and take fewer trades if that's kind of your natural aptitude. So you want to really figure out what that is, where you're at, and what, lean into what's going to be your strength. And what's great is just because you're quick, sharp-minded and you want to process things faster, you don't have to be scalping. And just because you're more methodical and you want to process things slower does not mean that you have to hold them for months at a time. Inside of actively intraday trading, there's a spot for everybody, along that spectrum, because I've been on kind of both sides of it. Starting off being much more aggressive, and then even now kind of tapering off, getting more towards the methodical side. But there's a spot here inside of actively intraday trading for everybody. All right, but the main kind of takeaway is getting right where you're at in this thing. Now, in this video, instead of getting into scalping and getting into intraday, why don't I chunk it out and we'll make a separate video out of this so it doesn't go to like 20 minutes. And in the next video, we'll shut this one down. I'll cover swing trading, kind of my experience with that, similar to what I talked about with scalping. And then I'll lean into more of why I'm actively intraday trading. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. If this is your first time watching one of the videos and you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's all hit the like button on the way out. If you're going to be on the screens between now and the next time I make a video, we wish you very happy trading. Watch your risk, and I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll continue this conversation.